Hello, I'm Dora Makszy, and this is the cost of not having a designer. Today, you will get to know me a little bit better. Then we will discuss why does design matter and how. We will cover the collaboration between designers and engineers. And then we will understand why the delay in integration of design is expensive, but what values can early integration bring to the table? And finally, we will conclude. So, let's jump into it. About me, I'm Dora Makszy, as I told you, and I live in Norway together with my family. And I'm a product designer with 17 plus years of experience in product delivery, which means that I started my career as a UI developer. I sort of understand what is happening in the front end code and altogether, but I didn't really continue dealing with code. And the reason why I chose this path is that I realized that I'm a bit better in dealing with people. So I figured that I would like to understand what is happening on the business side. Therefore, I got 2 diplomas in the field of project management and economics. And I started to work as a project manager. I worked my way up to senior level, so I sort of understand what is happening on the business side. I analyze a lot of data, I understand budgeting, and understand the motives and the triggers behind certain business requirements. So, whenever I work together with a team, no matter if it's engineers, designers, QA engineers, support, marketing, whatever, I'm always there for them to make the business initiative understandable. And why is that? Why am I able to do that? Because I ended up as a designer. I realized that this is my true love. But design, by definition, means strategical planning. Therefore, a designer has to be involved in the whole process from the business initiative through the whole development process until delivery and even after that. So I recommend each and every business stakeholder to involve the designers right from the beginning, because then the designers will understand the context, the background, and how can they help the whole team. I will discuss this later, but now a little bit more about me. Again, I ended up as a designer. I built up design teams, and basically my main focus was always the flawless operation of the design team and the collaboration between engineers, product, and design. But this comes from the fact that I realized that usually, no, not usually, but majority of the companies separate design and engineering, or even worse, they organize the design below engineering or below product. However, design is not under these departments, but we will also cover that. And then what I wanted to say is that I come from the automotive industry and I ended up in the robotics industry. And in between, I was working with agencies and companies like IBM. So, yeah, I could say that I have a few experiences. Also, I taught teenagers about design thinking. So, I have this knowledge sharing mindset. I sort of think this is important. So, if you let me, I will guide you through this topic today. Yes, design matters. We can state this. But what benefits does design bring to engineering, product teams, and management? Well, design as designers focus on people, the users, and designers are empathetic, they can understand the not so objective motives that the users have. Therefore, the designers, because them being empathetic, they can somewhat facilitate a smoother collaboration. They understand how engineers think and what motives does the business have, and they have this ability to connect these two and even connect support and marketing and other stakeholders. So I believe that once a designer is a crucial part of a team, then the whole team, with all team members, can benefit from this collaboration. I'm not saying that designers communicating perfectly. What I'm saying is that this high empathy level helps a lot when it comes to collaboration and communication. And as you all probably know, communication is the key to good understanding, shortening delivery time. Because, yes, if there are misunderstandings, that can be rooted back to bad communication. Of course, as I don't have to mention, probably designers can help with user experience. And this is because designers usually collaborate with UX researchers or do the research by themselves. And they understand what is happening in the heads of the users. They understand their pain points, their priorities, so that they can actually help in prioritizing the backlog accordingly. They can suggest to the product owner, product manager, what is the most important, what should be solved early on, or what are the low-hanging fruits even. And maybe engineers, managers didn't even think about problems that might occur during, for example, a user interview or user testing. And as designers are writing down their notes during the interviews and the testing, these are actually becoming relevant data. And as data is there, it can be analyzed and it can be prioritized. And based on these facts, actual decisions can be made. So it's not just a feeling, a gut feeling, or a subjective wish or idea. It's actually based on a fact once you are deciding on something. Once you have these decisions and you are already collaborating smoothly between teams and with the user, then you are in a position to innovate because you understand already what is happening and what should be happening, what would be really cool, what the concurrent companies don't really get, or competitors don't really deliver, but the users would need. So basically, you have everything, every single thing to actually deliver something super cool. Why wouldn't you do that? And once you deliver something super cool that is actually solving a user problem and brings your product to an even new level, then it will increase the customer engagement. And once the customer is engaged to your company, to your product, well, it will increase the income and thus probably your salary as well. So actually, you have at least one financial reason to involve a designer, but I would rather go with not so financial and not so tangible reasons that you can become a better professional just by involving a good designer to your team. And this is what I also wanted to highlight, that it does matter what kind of designer you involve. And sorry or not sorry, I won't regret this, but there are multiple types of designers, and I believe in the software development department, so to say, you would want to work with a product/UX designer who is not the artistic type. Designers must not fall in love with their ideas. The product designer, I will call them product designer, and I will talk about this in a few minutes. Product designers are aiming the, the satisfaction of the user, which means that they should deliver a solution that they might not like, they might not agree with, but if the user likes it and if it's easily maintainable, sustainable, then they should be able to deliver it. Of course, it's a win if they agree with the solution. And what I mean by agreeing, there is a huge difference between agreeing with a solution and not agreeing but still delivering. So, for example, there are multiple correct and professionally perfect solutions for a design problem. And here comes the designer ego and the designer self. So, the designer is also a human being, and this person should decide between one or the other solution. This is what I'm talking about. Still delivering something professional and cool and high quality, but not ultimately agreeing with the selected solution. Now, a few words about the different types of designers. There are debates how to call a software designer, because there are areas where product designers are rather physical product designers, for example, hardware designers. But recently, the designer community started to call the UX designers as product designers. And the reason behind that is product is an umbrella term. It includes the understanding of UX, UI, service, interaction, prototyping, content, you name it. There are multiple types of designs. And if we limit ourselves only to the UX design, then we are not speaking about the look, the visual layout. We are not speaking about the interaction with the user. We're not speaking about prototyping, which might save a lot of money before the first line of coding. So I would suggest to understand the design itself, and then you will be able to select the right designer for you. And I would suggest not to go after certain labels and names because of this confusion. There might be the perfect designer out for you, but this person might consider themselves only as a UI designer, while this person might be an actual product designer with all the capabilities for prototyping, service interaction, etc. So say it out with words. Again, communicate, make yourself understandable, and then you will reach the same level of understanding of what this designer should do in your team, what is required in the team from the designer. All right, after agreeing that design matters and would bring huge business benefits to your company, your organization, your team, and you personally, professionally, we can move forward to the product trio. I sort of slightly mentioned that design should not be hierarchically ordered below either product management, or engineering. The reason for that is that once you organize a certain group under another, then this larger group will definitely have some sort of impact on this smaller group. And once you would like to deliver a good product, you must provide the independency so that this team can actually deliver the best potential solution. Because then this is how you empower this team to do their professional best, to give them space. It will come with a benefit of having the best potential solution without any impact or influence. So yeah, this is what I suggest. The product manager is responsible for viability and value of the product. The lead engineer or the engineering team is responsible for feasibility. And the designer is responsible for desirability and usability. But I would like to highlight that there are other teams as well. For example, support, QA, marketing, finance, legal, operations, and each of them can be stakeholders. Actually, support and QA and marketing should be stakeholders to the product. Let's think about it. Once you deliver a product, you release it, users will start to use it, and then they encounter a problem. Who will they call? No, not the Ghostbusters, but the support. So once they call support, the support must be able to answer their questions in a very limited time, right? This is how support teams work. They want to answer every question very quickly, very short time, because, well, unfortunately, in majority of the cases, there are lots of problems, and they don't want to block the user because that will result in decreasing NPS. What is an NPS? It's the Net Promoter Score. This is how users react to your product. There are users who might recommend your product. These users must be very, very satisfied with what they are having. Let it be the product itself, let it be the support, let it be the aftercare. They must be very satisfied. There are the neutrals who are, well, they are not particularly satisfied or dissatisfied. They won't specifically recommend your product, but won't do the opposite as well. So they are somewhat in the middle. And the biggest part and the biggest challenge are the group of users who are dissatisfied. These are the loudest people. If a user is dissatisfied, they will tell everybody that don't buy this product. This is bad. This will consume a lot of time. This is buggy. So they are loud, even if they are minority. They demand a lot of space on the internet forums, in between friends groups, and then you can actually, scratch your head and figure out what to do with the rest of the users or how to engage and impress new potential users. So that is why support is very important. And also, there is marketing. Oh, yeah, a little bit back to support. Support must receive the product documentation, all the specifications, and every available material so that they can work with it. They can prepare their materials according to it. And the best possible way to involve support is right at the beginning. So again, just like designers, they have to understand the context of the product or the new feature so that they can manage their own time to prepare their materials until the release. So right after release, they are ready to support the customers because they have everything. They understand, they follow the process, they know where to search for what option. They should be fully up to date with the product or the feature. Now, once we are talking about materials and involving, there is also the marketing team. They are responsible for making your product desirable. So it's somewhat similar to what a designer does, but it's rather external and helping sales. And they also need time. So imagine a company that provides hardware and software, a whole ecosystem, and they have to prepare video shoots, marketing materials. They have to schedule articles in certain newspapers in order to get attraction from the potential users. And also, marketing might help in having new investments, and they might help in attracting new investors. They need all the materials as soon as possible as well. And finally, there is QA. It's also very important to involve them right in the beginning of the development process, because QA can bring a very different perspective to the picture. And this is also true for support. QA, they can have insights on edge cases, or they can tell a designer about certain situations. And yes, designers ask a lot, but what if they don't know what they don't know? So yes, product trio is very important, but I would advise against forgetting all the other stakeholders. All right. Designers love engineers. And the reason for that is that engineers know how to deliver in a sustainable way, but also engineers can advise the designers to design or prepare their design in a sustainable way, in a feasible way. So designers tend, the good designers tend to involve engineers early on, right when they start to have even the ideation process. So imagine this. A designer is there in a customer interview. They are testing certain ideas. They are using techniques like cart sorting, which is about prioritizing the relevance of certain topics. And this is done by the designer with the customer. Now, the designer returns. And by designer, I can also mean a UX researcher, because yes, this is some sort of a shared responsibility, but designers. They return to the company or at home, and they prioritize their findings. They document everything, what they could perceive, and then they start to draw up a flow. For example, for a new feature, there is a start. There is the next step, the next step, the next step. This is how we will answer the pain point, and this is the solution. And right after they are having this user flow, they can involve the engineers who, with their logic, can actually point out, okay, I see what you're doing here, but here you missed another perspective, there you missed yet another perspective. So what I'm saying here is that engineers can actually expand the whole world for the designer. Because again, this is about being a human. The designer is also a human. This person comes with their own perspective, experiences, and again, they might not know what they don't know. But then comes another person, an engineer, and this person will bring their experiences and their point of view. And it's already widening the scope. Now let's imagine this with a whole bunch of engineers and designers. It's multiple perspective, multiple solution ideas. And this brainstorming, this creative and constructive process between these two is actually enjoyable, but also a very dynamic and very rapid process. And here comes the prototyping also at this point, at the low fidelity state. If you have the luxury of having a designer right at this point, when you're just planning, even on paper with post-its, and this designer can help you to draw up all your ideas and then just figure out how to organize and what, then you can very easily and quickly just shut out all the solutions that might not fit. And you didn't have to write a single line of code, which means that your time is still appreciated. Your time and your focus is on the mental level. It will help with work of another person, so you collaborate, but you shouldn't waste time on solutions that might not fit at all. It's a very quick and therefore very cheap solution to find the right way to solve a problem. So yes, the result is a seamless, intuitive, and even iconic product. And that is why it's very cool to work together with designers. Yes, this is Johnny Ive, Apple's famous designer, and Dan Richo, the head of engineering there. They worked together, and the first product that they put together was the iPhone. And unfortunately, I didn't find an image about them having the iPhone, but imagine. And you can tell that iPhone is a pretty cool product. I don't know how many iterations, how many generations are there from iPhone, but I myself am using an iPhone because that fits me the best. And based on iPhone and Apple's initial ideas, these two guys' ideas, the whole industry started to create smartphones and getting better and better solutions. I mean, these two collaborated, a designer and an engineer collaborated, and the result, after decades, the whole industry is still relying on their initial impact. This is super cool. I mean, just imagine yourself working together with a designer, creating something super amazing. And then after 15 years, the whole industry where you're working is actually relying on what you guys did. How cool is that? I think it's really, really cool. So yeah, teamwork. Yay! Now let's talk about the pitfalls. Delay is expensive. And what I'm saying here is that if the UX is poor, then the users get frustrated. It will result in low engagement and again decreasing customer satisfaction. I mentioned a few stuff about the NPS. You can imagine it here. Your users who initially encouraged others to buy a product start to complain and getting louder and louder. For example, Twitter, now X, but initially Twitter, their focus on functionality over design led to user complaints. And their interfaces were cluttered, the navigation was not smooth, so users rather started to use, for example, Tumblr, which was some sort of similar thing in the beginning. And then Twitter had to involve designers in order to get the user base back. And this was highly expensive. The redesign cost can be high because what does it mean? You already have a certain solution, it's developed, it's out there, it's marketed, you spent a lot of money on it already. And then you realize that you have to redesign it. So you have to involve, first of all, a designer. And if your organization didn't have a designer before, there is the onboarding cost. Bam, whole bunch of money. And then you have to integrate this person into the organization. Time goes by. And time is money. So, yeah, you're spending money on basically nothing because this person has done nothing yet. And then when they finally start to design and integrate with or collaborate with the engineering, it's yet again a few months until you figure out that this collaboration was successful or not. Was the design that this person delivered good or not? Do the users like it or not? So at least half a year goes by without you knowing if your investment was worth or not. It's a lot of money, let me tell you. And yes, it will have a huge impact on your systems and processes. And there might be pushback from engineers, there might be pushback from other stakeholders. So there is a huge risk involving in a new member, a new key member to your team. If the team is not used to working together with a designer, it might break trust within the team, even. And but let's assume that everything went fine and this person just integrated well, collaborated perfectly, delivered the right solution. Then you still have additional costs of marketing, and the reputational damage is already done. So it doesn't really matter how much you are spending on marketing. You have to spend even more to gain the user's trust back. For example, when Google launched Pixel 6, the most common complaint was about the fingerprint scanner. It was crazy, but it just didn't work. And this was the way how users could identify themselves. And they redesigned it. It's already a hardware cost as well, which is even more expensive. And we are speaking about a lot of hardware. And it was software redesign as well. So imagine at least two departments plus support plus marketing working again on something that they already delivered. It is just unbelievably high cost. It's very long. It takes very long time to get to the market because if there is a redesign needed, or if the designer is involved in a late stage, then there are additional reviews that should be done, which means that the timelines should be extended and the milestones should be shifted in order to fix the design issues. And this might lead to missing opportunities and losing potential early adopters, because while you are fine-tuning, these users, these potential early adopters, these potential new customers will find a solution from your competitors. So involving a designer late in the stage, it will actually cost you money, the income that you didn't earn. And the example for that was the Samsung Galaxy Fold. For some reason, smartphone producers decided to create foldable smartphones. I don't get it why, because yeah, it's not really logical, but whatever. They decided, and seemingly there is a need for that. But unfortunately, the screen was very fragile and it let in dust between the glass and the screen. So it caused further problems. And again, it's hardware development, which means a very long time scale altogether. And now it's already extended because a designer wasn't involved right in time. And again, time is money. We must mention the lower user retention and growth, because users are likely to abandon products with poor UX. This is what we discussed at point 1. And this will have a direct impact on growth and the competitive edge. So for example, Snapchat, they redesigned in 2018, and they separated the friends and the professional content, but they faced some sort of a pushback because it was very confusing The UI was very confusing, and they removed some features. So the users who already knew how to use this application, they started to not understand what is happening in the application. So of course the NPS decreased, their satisfaction and engagement level decreased, so they dropped the application. They started to stop using Snapchat, which means direct loss in the income. And we must mention the loss of competitive edge, because the product must resonate with the users. If it doesn't, because it's useless or doesn't answer problems, doesn't solve problems and pain points, then users again won't care. So it will result in losing market share. Yahoo is a very good example. Yahoo was actually better than Google in the beginning. However, after series of bad decisions, Yahoo ended up in a very poor platform with limited capabilities, very, very bad UX, and thus Google became much more popular with its simple user interface and easy to use products. So, after all this, what are the values of the early integration? Again, designers can help in solving problems. Of course, I'm not saying that engineers cannot, but engineers sometimes come up with solutions that are logical for sure, but might not resonate with the average user. And that is why it's important to involve the designer to avoid this when you have your user and you give them this logical solution, but they just cannot understand the logic because they work in a different way. Now, when you involve that designer, they can help you in understanding this different logic, this shift, this different perspective. Also, again, as designers are empathetic, they can help you with communication, understanding your needs, taking care of the developer experience, and also understanding and making it understandable what the user wants. They also share knowledge. Designers tend to have this habit of sharing their findings. Let it be a simple user flow, or let it be an iteration of design that they wish feedback for, or let it be an overall use case from the business initiative to the solution and the feedback from the users. What was the whole process? And you can actually learn from it. You can become a better professional if you understand what is happening in other parts of the company, because in this case, you're not focusing on the code, you're focusing on the whole problem. And once you understand the problem, then you are already a better professional. By working together with design, again, as I mentioned, if you involve them to the process early on, you can save time. Therefore, the projects can be delivered faster. If you involve the designer later, because you already started developing the solution, designers might raise questions that can actually stop the whole process and turn it back. So I would advise against it. It can be very costly. Of course, it shouldn't be even mentioned, but designers can bring innovative and user-friendly UX, which the users like. Therefore, even the most complex logic could be understood by the user. There is a career growth opportunity. I mentioned several times that you can become a better professional, but what I meant when I say this is that if you improve your soft skills in collaboration, communication, empathy, understanding the business, starting to see the dependencies between the business and the data and the design decisions, then you become a more seasoned professional, and then you will be able to mentor juniors, or you will be able to solve more complex problems. So of course your boss will see it, your teammates will see it, they will rely on you, and they will probably promote you. So I think it's worth it. um, of course you can improve your experience, but the designers can also take care of the developer experience, meaning that when they provide the documentation, the design files to you, they can provide it in a very well documented, thorough, precise, transparent way that gives you clarity from A to Z. And working from a Figma file that is actually understandable for a developer and ready for development with Figma's dev mode, I believe it's a much better experience than actually imagining what should happen in certain screens if you click here or there. Yeah, I think it's a bit better. And just to come back to the career growth and becoming a better professional, if you understand what is happening in the business and you understand the insights you get, you will have a whole picture. It's very important to mention the 3T, the Tools, Team, Tech principle in this context as well. The tools are relevant to ensure the smooth design and development collaboration, which means, for example, Figma that I mentioned, they are taking care of the developer experience while providing a proper design tool for the product designer. Team is also important. The team can work together from the start to align on goals and adjustments and innovations and whatnot. If they can collaborate, if they can communicate smoothly, then your team is done. The problems must be solved in a transparent and honest way, with discussing the potential solutions and not just blaming, but giving constructive feedback. And finally, implementing design systems and responsive frameworks to integrate design early and preventing rework and refactoring, it's a highly relevant point to think about. So conclusion, finally. Design is a strategic investment. It will boost the product acceptance. It will improve the user satisfaction. It will strengthen the competitiveness, and it will ignite the innovation. And yes, I should have checked the grammar. There is an E missing. So, for example, if we could have collaborated with a QA engineer or another engineer or somebody else, probably as more I see more, they would have recognized this missing E in my presentation. That is why teamwork is relevant. And that is why I would say that involving a designer early on can help you in find your own mistakes. So yeah, we are human, but we are here to help, and we love to collaborate with engineers, and it is a strategic investment. So involve us. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your patience, and I hope that you liked this presentation. If you wish to contact me, you will find me on LinkedIn, or you can check out my portfolio where you will find the articles. In between them, you will find the one that is the base of this talk. So I really hope that I could tell something new or share something new with you today. And I'm looking forward to your questions. See you!